evening, everybody, and welcome to Risen Esports. You may have heard of us. I don't know. A certain someone seemed to have mentioned us yesterday. And those are two dudes who started right here on this very channel. They'll go by Rafa and Joshi. Welcome again to Premade Rampage Quarterfinals. On my side, I have two awesome people who one day I hope all of us want to be on the LCS stage. Swift Duelist and Darter Wolf. How you doing, gentlemen?
Great. Awesome. Happy to be here. Playoffs time. It's sweet.
Tell me about it. Pretty chill. Just a perfect way to enjoy my Saturday after doing some laundry, but primed and ready for some spicy Risen esports gameplay. As you mentioned, it's quarterfinals, so we've definitely got some interesting matchups to say the least.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right.
Yep.
Sorry, I had the audio playing in my thing. I'm like, where's that coming from? That was me.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of gonna speed run through this because we have
Yeah.
to go to draft because apparently someone
True.
decided they had a date tonight and needed to
Yep.
play quickly. So let's head on over to draft where I will meet you over there with Swift. And now here we go. So we're more than halfway through the draft. We have Varus picked up. We have Yumi. Funny enough, we literally just said that Yumi probably would not be picked, and there she is. But in terms of the bands, we have Lilia, Olaf, Caitlyn, and on the other side we have Udyr, Aurelion Sol, and Draven. So both teams seem to be doing homework on each other and are completely aware of these picks that they make. So, I mean, in terms of like the draft, I'm not really a fan of them picking Zeri Lulu, or not Zeri Lulu, that's what I'm used to seeing, but Zeri and Yumi this early, it kind of like gives away your whole strat. But I mean, the jungler locked on the side of Witch Doctors with the Vi, and I like Vi,
Yeah.
so yeah, pretty solid pick so far.
Yeah, I'd say right now the Rocketfellas are kind of just like you said, they're flexing into the fact that okay, we've got Zeri Yumi. If you check at least certain stat sites, it says that Zeri's probably Yumi's one of her best pairings even after those
Nocturne?
changes. So okay, yeah, that's pretty interesting to see, especially since Zeri Yumi usually wants to just kind of kite back at least at first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so looking at the Witch Doctor side, I mean, they've got some pretty consistent pick. Like everybody on their team has some sort of CC to lock down this area, so she's definitely
Yeah.
gonna watch out for that.
Indeed. And as we saw, the Nocturne is locked in for Rocketfellas, which, as we were kind of going through like our notes and whatnot, we didn't really see Nocturne, but I noted that their jungler does play a mix of everything. Now, of course, and Vedius, if he was watching, would absolutely love this to me to say this. Nocturne is a flex pick, and you can put it in the mid lane. You don't see it really that often, but the thing about Nocturne is he wants to be a glass cannon. He wants to be that engaged, which is why you'll almost always see Nocturne's build Guardian Angel second or third. So that way they can go in, the team will follow up and clean up the rest of what happens. Because usually most teams will blow everything on him at that point. But second phase of the bans, it's entirely top lane focused. Mordekaiser, Sion, Shen, and Kled. So
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Or yeah, definitely leaning more towards I guess Warren. If I'm like focusing bands towards top side, I'm probably thinking about picking top lane earlier instead of giving him counter pick. Just give him
Mm-hmm.
something more comfortable to lane into. And considering four top laners are already off the board, I mean, there's not much more you can ask for here. And they decided to do the exact opposite, and they
Wow.
decided to go for a mid lane blind Galio. So now it's just up to the witch doctors to see what exactly they want to pick into it. I mean, into a Galio that's just like front facing, and there's most of his team's already shown up. I think this is a pretty comfortable pick, or at least pick order for the witch doctors.
Yep, I'm actually kind of surprised as we were looking at their OP.Gs before the game. Their mid laner tend to play a lot of Ari and Jace as of recently, which is kind of interesting. And Lissandra being the I won't say counter pick per se, but being someone who can lock down this area, as you said, someone who can also lock down the Nocturne from getting too far, and Gangplank being the lock, which
Ooh.
didn't even see that with Witch Doctor's top laner either. So everything I have noted here on this thing is wrong so far, and I'm okay with that, I guess, because that's what makes these games so interesting. And now we have the final pick, which, as you said, is going to be a counter pick for Rocketfellas. Now, Homeboy does play a lot of Rengar top, but I don't think you pick that into Gangplank necessarily. I think you should pick something that can duel into him, either the Jax, the Fiora, where both are still open, or is this a Galio top?
It
Huh.
could be an angle. I mean, it could. I've seen Casio Tomp way back, a couple seasons ago. There was a friend of mine that I used to play competitive with, and he would swear up and down by Casio Top just being broken.
Hmm.
But it's something that you don't really see played. often at all. And I'm guessing if you had to pick something to go into GP, Cassio's probably your best bet between the two.
I think so too. Yeah. I mean, that miasma is really good. I mean, into the majority of their team. I mean, in Divide, she can't dash, and into Lysandra, she can't E away. So not a really weird pick. So I'm actually down for it. And I actually now, since we're done with draft, I want to bring in Darter back so we can go back to the analyst stats so we can get his opinion on that draft.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna need a third opinion to analyze this because I don't think the Witch Doctor's draft has much to talk about. Like, I think it's pretty cut and dry what they're trying to do, but the
Oh yeah.
Rocketfellas draft is
Yeah.
pretty interesting to say the least.
Yeah. I was expecting Rocketfellas to go with Zeri Vi on 1-2, not Zeri Yumi, because Vi is the very obvious counterpick for Zeri, especially if you're going for that lane. I even though like because you're not expecting them to play Varus Yumi, especially when their support really only plays tank engage. So giving over the Vi when you are looking to play Zeri is a bit interesting. Also, their draft, like you said earlier, the Nocturne Galio, that's really heavy dive. Which Zeri is really good with dive, and so is Yumi. I'm not a huge fan of Cassio top though. I was expecting Jax. That would be my pick into it if I was playing into it. I mean, both drafts are fairly standard. The Nocturne's a bit spicy though, so I mean, we can
Oh
see
yeah.
how that plays out in team fights.
I'm actually more curious about now runes in this instance, especially for the Nocturne, because there are a couple of runes you can go in this instance. You often see Lethal Tempo, you might see Press the Attack, Conqueror, Hail of Blades, but
Yeah,
more often than not, it's the Lethal Tempo because you want him to start kind of just smacking you and get his passive up faster. So I'm expecting pretty standard runes across the board as Nocturnes, though the one that's
yeah,
kind of going to be weird to me, and we'll just figure that one out. I mean,
Hmm.
Varus 2 can kind of be either one, Hellblades or Lethal Tempo, or even the
yeah,
spicy Dark Harvest Lethality build that, I mean, we don't see it, but I mean,
yeah.
you never
Yeah.
know.
I do think Poke Varus is really good in this game because I don't think you'll get the chance to do very much hitting with how much dive they have, and I don't think on hit's very good into the lack of solid front line that they have aside from the Galio. So
Mhm.
I would expect it to be Poke Varus. So we might see him take Comet actually this game. I
Hmm.
personally like WD's draft a lot more with how much just disengage they have against Rocketfellas comp. But it's really dependent on how ahead this Zeri gets, if at all,
Yeah,
because that's really most of your damage, despite you having Nocturne cast. Because I'd expecting Nocturne to become more of a bruiser build and be the engage you need for this area to provide Peel with that natural dive to buy space. So yeah, this is really heavily on top and bot because that's where all of your damage is really for both sides.
I mean, it's definitely interesting where I'm on the same page as Darter, where it's just like on paper, I'm looking at WD's draft and I'm
yeah,
saying, yeah, they should clearly be in an advantageous spot, just considering it's
Yeah.
like Varus is not in a bad spot in the meta at all. Vi is pretty frequent in the meta, and then GP after those crit changes is probably one of the better top lane and potentially mid lane picks that you can pick up.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
So it's like they're not lacking on anything. And now when I look at the Rocket Fellas, a lot of it's going to come down to execution if their comp actually works or not, because it's really
Yeah.
just we have to wait and see what WD does, and then we have to respond to it. Like Galio ult, Cassio ult, all that stuff is pretty much non-existent unless you can time it properly or get a good team fight angle going for it. And by that metric, I'm probably just going to lean towards WD on this one.
Same.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, with the Vi, if you are looking to pick Galio, Vi Galio is a classic combination, and it's much easier to play than Nocturne Galio. Especially with it's easier to dive too far with a Nocturne than it is with Vi, I feel, in a lot of cases.
Hmm.
Um, WD doesn't have a whole lot of mobility, so you're not going to get dragged too far in with the Nocturne ulti anyway, so it should be fine. But yeah, Vigalio is a better version of that combo. They do the same thing, just a lot of CC layered on top of dive. Although the Vi CC is a lot easier to get off because you can't cleanse Vi ulti and Vi Q, so it's just a bunch of knockup chains rather than a fear into knockup. Uh, so I would expect Varus to take cleanse for that reason,
I,
Hmm.
I would too.
but we'll
But
see here.
looks like we're going into spec delay. Yep, yep, yep. So
Yep.
before we cut to break, someone I was casting with yesterday introduced a new little fun game we do. So instead of predicting the team that we think will win, we also know we're pretty heavily in favor of Witch Doctor right now. But What Dragon Rift do you think we're gonna get this game?
I'm gonna go Hextech Soul.
I was gonna say Hextech. I'll go Infernal. I'll go Infernal just to be different.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually gonna go Ocean Soul, so that's the one I'm gonna go. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But all right, so that will do it for us. We have spec delay, so we're gonna take a quick break. I stole the show from you, Darter. I apologize. It's all you
All
after
good, man.
this. So we'll take a quick break. Be right back for the game one between Witch Doctors and Rocketfellas.
All right, everybody, welcome as we're getting into game one of this pre-made Rampage quarterfinals match between the Witch Doctors and Rocketfellas. As you can see, the Witch Doctors got an Nautilus and a Vi, so they're looking for a level 1 engage, and they might be able to find it if they just go to the right spot. But the Rocketfellas are going for a 5-point start, and they spot it out pretty quick.
I mean,
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
I was 100% expecting the invade with this Nautilus and the Vi. It's so strong level 1, especially into Rockefeller's comp, but they did suss it out. Expected the invade, so they're playing purely respectfully. I'm expecting ward on top side blue buff just to help with the jungle tracking. Shouldn't be anything on this level 1 really.
Indeed,
Yep.
not expecting too much, but just a quick note that the stream is black for anyone watching at the
Yes. Yeah,
moment.
I just
So
saw.
if you could just switch that over, but we will describe it as best we can. This is now an audio description stream. I almost said screen, but
League of
English is
Legends audiobook form.
ooh,
Sure.
audiobook League of Legends. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
all right,
just-
we gotta give context for everything. It's like, all right, summoners, runes on every single champion, run through them.
Oh god, Gangplank, first strike, not surprised. Flash teleport, also not a surprise. Actually didn't bring ignite. Pansy should have gone the ignite route. Gosh
Yeah.
darn it.
Disappointed.
Same. Oh, a blue buff invade. Oh, but they see it.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, it gets smited
Gets the
away
smite
pretty
off.
quick.
Okay, no kills. So that's a good start for Nocturne. I'm expecting Vi to invade bot side, which she is doing right now, going red straight to the enemy blue buff. So we might have vertical jungling here. So Rocketfellas bot lane should play safe, play back, maybe get push off, get a cheater recall, just so you don't die to the gank. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, it is right now vertical jungling. We'll see what Nocturne's pathing looks like here.
I fully expect him to clear his side of the jungle now. I mean, he's obviously not gonna be able to clear the rest of Vi's jungle because now there's a ward. They're aware.
Yeah.
They're just just leave it alone. But she will just take the blue buff and out. And we actually have a gank coming in, a level
Yep.
2
Yep.
gank.
I was
Oh.
expecting it.
Oh, the
Dodges
hook
the
gets
hook.
dodged. He does have
The
flash. The
exhaust?
exhaust gets dropped and cleanses the slow from the red buff. That's 2 sums used for none. So overall, a decent advantage for wild witch doctors.
Yeah, getting Zeri cleanse early is super important, especially when you have the ignite on the Nautilus, obviously, as you should. She's really killable now on wave a lot of the time, so especially with Vi, she can clear the rest of her red side and potentially repeat. I wouldn't expect it, but it is a potential. Hopefully get the
Ooh.
Zeri flash as well. Top is a bit spicy.
Yeah, quite a bit of trading coming out there from CS Affilio. Says he is playing the Casio top, which we were having some questions about early, but we does seem to be doing a bit of work on him.
Indeed. So I guess that goes to show that because like obviously I was questioning the Casio pick, which is not that big of a deal. Goes to show what I know because CS Aphelios is actually getting a lot of chip damage onto him and just kind of going through and nuking these barrels and whatnot and just completely burning this dude's health bar. I mean, he's not going to teleport. He'll burn both the refillables, which once again, I will casually say the refills. Oh, wait, gank to the
Ooh.
river.
Yeah, nice knock-up coming out from the Galio. Flash forced out of the Vi here. The Nocturne does get eaten up by the
he's dead.
hook here, and that's first blood going over to Varus. Oh, the Yuumi
Oh.
detaching off of the Zeri. Zeri, no flash available, unable to get towards the Vi, and now she's caught in no man's land, having a 1v2.
Good sidestep.
Sidesteps the hook, but does get flash auto-rooted
Varus, yeah.
by the Nocturne, and that Varus picks up the second kill of the game, and now he's got all the KP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge
There's not much
start
to
for this bot lane. I mean, the Varus getting an early lead like this makes the lane very hard to play for Zeri. She did pick up Cull on that recall, which you're just hoping to sit under tower and CS at this point and just stop the bleeding, because if you die again, it's pretty bad. It can snowball pretty heavily, especially with when Varus already has a serrated Dirk at 4 minutes. That's a really strong first space for him, so Vi can be looking to pressure this lead on bot every wave, pretty much every time she's pathing down there, which should lead to them getting Drakes pretty early on to get their stacking going for the soul.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So first Drake is a Cloud Drake. I think it's a Cloud Drake. 'Cause I know sometimes the thing is a little bugged and will not show the right icon if it's Chemtech or Hextech.
Yeah.
So
I believe it is Cloud, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. The little icon map is a Cloud. So it is a Cloud Drake. That is the first Drake of the game. I mean, most teams typically won't prioritize the Cloud Drake. I mean, I don't understand why. I mean, just take it off the map early and get that extra bit of speed going on these dragons, so that way you can dragon stack faster. So that way we don't end up having like a 40-minute soul inevitably. So I would just rather prefer like teams like take it like immediately. Right now, like bot lane kind of has the prio, so Nocturne should come down and do this. I mean, Vi is coming over though to this side of the map. So not really. What the heck did that Q just went out of like to the stratosphere?
Yeah.
I'm
That Q goes
surprised they're
pretty
still
quick.
playing for push here with how much like how much of a gold lead there is in this bot lane, how strong this Varus is already. They will naturally have push, just with Zerayumi has a lot of pressure on wave, but with a already 2-0 Varus, it is a little bit cocky to go for, I'll say.
Yeah, oh, CS Affiliates getting a bit of trading up in the top lane, is able to get quite a bit of damage, stacks up the Conqueror, lands yet another Q and another E, and already the the GP is just zoned off of this wave.
Maybe I'm trolling when I say Cassio top wouldn't be good.
I
It's
told you.
good. It's good, especially into champs like
Oh, flash
oh
forward, going in for the stun there, but not quite gonna get it. Petrifying Gaze just not close enough and didn't catch him facing.
Okay.
yeah, Cassio's really good into any top laner that's not completely ranged. Like she really only struggles into things like Kennen and Quinn and that sort of thing, but that can actually pressure her on wave. It's like most ranged top laners that can pressure a lot of champions just naturally with their kit. And Cassio wins a lot of ranged matchups as well. So, and with how much damage she has early, the GP kind of can't farm very easily. So yeah, it's 100% a good pick.
This is a complete tangent because you mentioned Quinn. Does anyone even play Quinn anymore? I haven't seen that champion in like.
The Shy does, and he like goes 10 and 10 on it, but that's about it. Champ's pretty dead. Yeah.
Dead in the water like a bird a couple days before Thanksgiving. But I mean, speaking of weird picks, like like I mentioned before we got into the game, that one friend of mine, he was always playing Cassio top, and he just swears up and down by it. But I'll give you that I just never see it played like ever.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I was curious. I'm pretty sure like someone played it recently too, and you confirmed it when you say the Shy, and I'm 0% surprised it was the Shy. But back
Yeah.
to the state of this game currently. So, Witch Doctors are up 1,000 gold at the moment. Well, like 1,300. So they're in a pretty comfortable spot. Finally, it looks like this dragon might be taken after is almost 8 minutes now. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well. Just you could have took it a little couple minutes faster, I think. Get that priority because you have both of these lanes that can push and just use that advantage. And obviously, Rocketfellas are not going to try to interject whatsoever. So we have Chemtech as the next Drake. Okay, so we're all on track for our soul.
Yeah.
We got that going. That Q, they must have changed that because I don't remember just flinging
Yumi
out of
Q?
nowhere.
Yeah, they did change it with the rework. You can steer it for the first half, and then the second half it goes off in a straight line wherever it's aiming at really way faster than the normal speed, and it has a lot of range. They're nerfing the range on next patch by like roughly 300. It's based off of a number of things, but yeah, right now it's like 1,200 range, I think, which is a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
Yumi, she got quite a bit of tweaks. But already they're like, yeah, we tweaked her once, we got to nerf her again, because apparently they just won't concede the fact that they'll probably delete that champion from the game. But it's like, and that's coming from a Zeri main. Like I wouldn't
Yes.
bat an eye if she just got obliterated from the game and just we all forgot about her. But to each their own.
I'm very opinionated about Yumi, but that's mostly because I feel like her healing is way too much. I mean, let's also think back to when the champion first came out and when Hillisang was playing it at Worlds and doing more damage in his mid laner, and that's like, yeah, that's probably not fair. So
Yeah.
there's that. I mean, I just in terms of like stats of what like Yumi can. Oh, Nocturnal, where's that going? Where's that going?
Yeah, Nocturnal looking down in the bot lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just not in range, and ooh, Cherix does get hit by the Varus ultimate. Varus still trying to 2v1 here, and then realizes the 2v3. GP able to drop down the ultimate to keep him alive, but yeah, that's just not much room to work with. It's not like old Yumi where you can just guarantee a pick onto somebody, and they're not even level 6 either, so.
No. So it's like, what was the point of that? I guess. I mean, Nocturne also wasn't in range to ult in. Like, I imagine if Nocturne actually ults in, then maybe they get the kill there. But
I would think they do if he did actually ult in. He ulted really far. I mean, you can use Nocturne ult for the pressure of the potential of the ulti, but normally that's not what you see it used for. If the bot lane was level 6, which I think they hit it off. Yeah, they just hit it off that last wave.
Okay.
Then that's definitely a kill. Even though Yumi ulti does not root anymore, that's 100% enough damage with the Zeri ulti to kill. But yeah, I'm interested to know what that Nocturne was really, what the thought process was there.
Quick taunt coming in on from Messiah. Nocturne is behind the Mat Raptors, but Not going to get much out of it. The Rift Herald that just got taken up a couple seconds ago does drop in the top lane, but now they spot Nocturne out. Galio ulti does come down. The knock-up coming up from the depth charge is able to lock him up, and the Vi coming over from the wall gets the salt onto him, and he is dead. Flash for flash, and Galio unable to go that much further. Actually, is he going to be able to make it to his tower? Yeah, he is. There's just not enough follow-up from the rest of the team, but still 1-0 once again for the Witch Doctors.
Yeah, they spotted him out prior to that whole little play. So, because Galio went for the taunt, but Lissandra must have seen him out because the million pings came down onto him when they saw him, and they just instantly went for the collapse. And just well done to them for that. Not much else you can really say about it. Just an unfortunate timing. And this will be the lethality Nocturne build rather than that strike breaker that we normally see. Not really a fan of it, to be fair.
Yeah, I would expect the Bruiser build with the Stride Breaker and Black Lever, that sort of thing. But yeah, lethality. The thing with the lethality Nocturne in this game is they don't have a whole lot of like full tanks on their team, so you can one-shot a lot of the members on their team. Both the carries are definitely one-shottable by lethality Nocturne. It's just very risky to go, especially from the position you're in. Where you're behind, so going lethality Nocturne is definitely a gamble, but it can pay off because it's a very easy way to get picks, especially from behind, because you do have that high amount of damage coming through every ultimate.
Ooh, yeah, just a bit more concentrating up in the top lane, but I definitely agree that it's definitely a riskier playstyle, and you would think that it's like you're playing Nocturne Galio, you'd want Nocturne to be able to stay alive longer, or at least to guarantee that he's able to stay alive until after the Galio ulti does connect with him. But definitely gonna have to see how that pans out later on, as the next dragon is coming up relatively soon, and Vi is pathing down towards there. Both junglers are on the bot half of the map, so a fight might be breaking out relatively soon.
I was wondering why they were pinging out of the Nocturne, but there is a ward right at that little spot in between Gromp and Blue Buff, so they will be fully aware, and Galio is posturing over. So I think they know that Rocketfellas want to try to go for this dragon. Now, whether or not they actually get it or like successfully to take the fight, we'll have to wait and see. Varus is almost done with, I assume, will be an not Eclipse, the other one. Oh my god.
Looks like he's going Youmuu's. Yeah, looks like it's Youmuu's first, which is what I was expecting. It is a poke Varus. He's going Halo Blades. He should go Youmuu's and then into the either Dusk Blade potentially, but that's a bit different. Usually it's Prowler's Pledges for the straight lethality. But yeah, it looks like he's going Youmuu's first into Manamune.
Dragon's just being taken right now. Not even really any contest coming out for the side.
It's really, it's really risky for them to fight with the position that they're in, because you do have, like, with Lissandra ult, Nautilus ult, Varus ult, one person can get blown up.
He flashes forward, but he does get hit by the Petrifying Gaze. CS Aphelios just has barely enough mana to get that off, but just not going to happen. And that's a play and a kill going over to the top side of the map, already mounting a bigger lead than he already has, just looking at the CS differential in the top lane.
50 CS difference in the top lane right now, which is massive, actually, at this point in the game. 14 minutes and 50 CS difference is a lot. There is also a 30 CS lead in the jungle, so they're not actually that behind considering this lead that they have in the top side here. So,
just a bit of damage coming to the area, but as you were saying,
no. Okay, but I was getting ready to comment on the fact that if this Cassiopeia can keep the ball rolling like she is, this game is actually completely winnable. I mean, like you mentioned, they don't really have any tanks on their team except just the Nautilus in reality, but that's going to be slow to get into. Vi will have some health, but no really real like thick magic resist. Oh, she's even stealing the blue buff. This is cheeky. Oh, they see her though, so they're rotating over.
Oh, gotcha. That's called it. Oh, Vi pulling up at the wolves, but please Nerfectini is able to smite it away. Oh, we do see Lissandra does find Messiah here, but she does get taunted up. Hexgate is used up by the Nocturne, flash forced out of the Cassio.
Goodness.
Cassio trying to fight for herself, but Nocturne goes in with 4 people. He is able to get one, flashes away. The Galio ulti hits the knock up onto 2. And there goes Lissandra. Down she goes as well. And Cassio's able to just free hit throughout this entire fight. They might be able to win this 3v4, but the flash from both of these members is able to get them over the wall. The blast cone might be enough to save them. The VIQ not charged up and used. That's going to be a 3-for-1 for the side of the Rocketfellas, and it pretty much puts them ahead at this point, up a whole 1,000 gold. And shout out to Hextech Soul, because I'm right.
Yeah,
yeah. I was gonna say Hextech pregame, but I changed my answer to be different. And yeah, that's the combo we were talking about early game, the Nocturne Galio. It's just like Vi Galio, it's a little bit different. You have more range on the engage with the Nocturne ulti. And yeah, as soon as that they pushed into River, I was thinking that they could 100% look for the re-engage here. You know you have the damage for it, all 3 ultimates, and that's exactly what they do. Really well executed from mid Nerf Victini and Messiah there. It's really well done. 4-man ultis for the Galio is massive, and also laid on top of the Cassio W, you just can't move lots of damage.
So I mean, there's also the power of that Cassiopeia, you know, having that CS lead, getting that Rod of Ages slowly stacking as well, and I guess maybe Victini was cooking, because Homeboy went in with that Dustblade and ended up coming out with 2 kills, which is also kind of nuts. I'm actually kind of impressed with that play, because it looked like it was going to be kind of doomed, but
Ooh,
no.
Zeri going over the wall. Casts her ultimate down. She does get rooted up by the Varus ultimate, and cleanses a bit late. Does flash forward, is only able to hit Nautilus at the moment, but she just does not have enough damage. Q lands onto the Varus, flashes away, unable to get that continuous damage, with the Vi is able to pull it from behind them, and the Zeri E comes back up. Lissandra, though, and the GP ultimate. There's essentially 5 people hitting this Zeri and this Yumi. The hook lands, the VIQ connects, and that's going to be a kill going over to the Varus, possibly make it 2. And that is, in fact, what's going to happen. And good effort from Cherix and Goose there. But 5 members just pulled up to your lane so soon. And the Varus ulti the Nocturne just sniping Varus out of the sky before his ultimate could finish. I mean, his channel.
That was kind of nuts. So I will point out immediately that the reason why, first tower we'll go over before I get to this, but the reason why Zeri did not win that fight, she does not have the shield bow yet. If she had shield bow, I 100% think she actually wins most of that fight. I mean, she kills the Varus, maybe the Nautilus too, but I mean, with the rest of the utility, oh my goodness.
Oh, the Petrifying Gaze comes out a bit late. Kamikaze is getting close to dying, and he, in fact, does. Unable to make it under the tower before Aphelios can pump out that much more damage that he has. So, yet another solo kill in the top lane.
Yeah, and this Nocturne pick is paying off a lot for them. I mean, that shutdown going on to Nocturne 700 gold is huge, especially after that bot lane play. It was looking pretty dire after that, trading 2 kills for 0, but that shutdown kind of evens it out, because your top side is very ahead at this point. So despite your Zeri being behind, it's actually not nearly as bad as it does look. They are ahead in gold by just over 2,000 as well, so.
Yes, a nice little flip of gold, because earlier it was 1k in the advantage of the Witch Doctors, and we're like, all right, well, not that big of a deal, usually typically this early in the game, but the fact that they've kind of flipped it around like 10 minutes later, kind of like goes to show that like this team is not down and out. And I can't believe that I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit, like, man, you shouldn't go Lethality Nocturne. Nope, my man's was cooking, and I burnt the house down. He knew what he was doing the whole time.
Yeah. It's a lot of damage. It's really risky, like I said, because you're sacrificing one of your members on your team that would normally be playing frontline for this area, but since she's behind, you might as well go for playing for the carry, right?
Ooh, the hook does connect. Nocturne ulti does come out. They find their way onto the Varus. He gets instantly blown up. The Galio ulti does land the knock-up on a 1, but Vi forced to go forward. CS Aphelios does get taken out, but now they're just running back. They've got no more damage on their side. The Witch Doctors have no room to work with, and that's going to be a 4 for 1 for the side of the Rocketfellas, as Vi is just forced to run away. Third dragon going over to the Rocketfellas.
Yeah, it's another huge engage by Nerf Victini and Messiah there. The angle on that Nocturne ulti to pick out the Varus, because the front line is going so deep on the Cass, it completely flips the fight, because that's all of their damage is on this Varus right now.
Varus was in that fight for like a second and a half before he got absolutely deleted. And my man's does the Axiom arc, the actual Chad build Nocturne, where you're just ulting every 15 seconds. I am full support of this. I love it, man.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, because this Varus now has to play a screen and a half away from every fight, which it just completely removes most of their damage because this GP is very behind. So if it's a straight up 5v5, they have such an advantage, even though it's only a 3.5k gold lead. I say only a 3.5k gold lead, but it definitely feels a lot larger than that just based off the amount of plays that they have the ability to make with this comp.
Indeed, indeed.
Speaking of plays, they might look for something up at the top lane. Yep, here comes the Nocturne ultimate. They're trying to get vision on his GP. He does get spotted out as he walks out of the bush.
Nice.
Does use his stopwatch, but he's got nowhere to run. The GP ultimate just not gonna save him. Another kill going to CS Affiliates. But before that play was gonna happen, I was gonna mention a lot of the Rocketfellas just kind of building crazy. Oh wait, does
They're gonna
Vi want
ignore
to
her.
fight? Yeah, he's trying to
they
stop him from
can.
taking that, but just straight ignored.
Oh, the
Flash
flash.
forward coming out. He is able to get the tether here. Does get the fear, throws out a bit more damage, but the Vi ultimate gets blocked by the spell shield, and Nautilus has got no much room to work with. Is able to go back under the tower as Casio isn't able to lock him up, but that's 2 kills going over to them. And I was going to mention the items.
Yeah, the Night Harvester on the Galio. Yeah, it's really spicy. They're all going full damage, no frontline needed. This Casio's tanking enough by herself, and I mean, with the amount of space that those 3 can buy, this Zeri will just naturally have peel, which is really good for her, and she'll be building tanky enough anyways. You don't need to peel for this Zeri. But I mean, this Nocturne is insanely fed as well. Murktred's buy for both of them, which makes a lot of sense with Alessandra and the buy. This Nocturne is very scary.
Just gonna comment on your factor saying, they're going full damage. Don't need a front line. You don't need a front line.
Another Varus ultimate instantly popped. Close flash in the heel. The Varus able to keep himself alive, but at the cost of his ult, his flash, and his heal. And even then, he might not be long for this world. Zeri going in like a maniac, gets instantly hit by the Lissandra root and the Vi, and he's able to flash out after the Galio ultimate pretty much bails him out. The lightning crash is still continuing. Varus Q able to tag her at the very edge.
Yeah.
And that is a Vi shutdown pickup. And yeah, Sherrick
saw the highlight reel and went for it. If Nocturne had his ultimate up and Cass was able to TP in that play, it could have worked, but that is way too deep, especially since the mid-tier 1 isn't even down yet. So the only angle that your team has to support you is through your 2 global ultimates and through the jungle. Definitely just saw the highlight reel, saw this Nocturne making plays all over the map and wanted to have some for themselves, and it didn't work out.
Listen, Cherix. I know you saw Prince get a pentakill yesterday in the LCS, but you need about another 2 items before you can be doing stuff like that. 2 more items, I think you pull that off, but not when their tier 1 is also up. But man, a minute 24. Oh, is
tier 1. Taunt does land, plus the ignite, plus a Q, and that is a dead Lissandra on my screen.
Dead with flash up too.
Yeah, with flash up. The flash does save her there. I don't think she should be that far up on wave with that little HP in the first place. I understand you wanted to defend that tier 1 tower, but again, you can very much get dove by Galio.
No.
Varus trying to pull up on CS Affilios, but I don't think it's going to happen. Speaking of Nocturne ultimates, another one coming out in the wings. Nearsighted Vi does get her ultimate channel, but unable to get her Q through, and that is a solo kill going over to the Nocturne. 2 more E's, and that's just 2 kills just in different spots of the map for the side of the Rocketfellas.
I think you should just go Baron here. I mean, Varus is dead, Vi is dead for 20-something seconds. You should just go Baron here. I mean,
yeah, you 100% can go Baron. I think you can also just burn this Baron. Your take is really fast as well with Casio, Nocturne, and Zeri.
Just yep.
Yeah, TPing for it. You can burst this down and then walk straight to Dragon and get your second Hextech Soul. There's a lot of attack speed on this Nocturne, which makes him even scarier.
He's almost
might execute here. Yep, he does.
Okay.
They should still be able to take it, but yeah, they won't be able to get Dragon right away.
Okay.
My God. But yeah, pretty big snowball there. Nocturne, Nautilus able to find the Galio, but I don't think he's gonna make much of it. CS Affiliates just taking the 1v1 the Kamikaze here, and he might be able to win. He forces the flash out of the GP, and same for the Nautilus here. He's able to make it out just fine, but a lot lost there for the side of the Witch Doctors. They are able to turn their attention to the Dragon, but Galio is moving.
Oh, 100% with Hex Gates and Nocturnal?
Gangplank TP though, so there's no way they actually secure this. No, I take it back. They'll just trade the mid lane tower No, they won't trade the mid lane tower. Stop making me look like a fool.
They should trade the mid lane tower for this Dragon, but I don't think they will. What they can do is this Nocturne can take Hex Gates in, ult in, and look for a pick on when they're trying to take their bases, but they don't really have vision for it, so he's just going to clear his bot side jungle.
Yeah.
And yeah, with building full damage, if you're this far ahead, is, I mean, this 3K gold lead very quickly turned into a 6K gold lead. Now actually 6,500 gold lead, and if they keep playing like they are, it can only get higher for them. So we'll see how well they do. And yeah, this comp is not very easy to execute, but they've been executing it so far. So
Where did he get an objective finding from? Where'd that come up? He's not even near the tower. That's very interesting. Anyways, I'm just gonna ignore that. It's probably just a classic spectator bug. But now, unfortunately, with Witch Doctors getting that dragon, that does put them on soul point, and now that will force, not like they'll care, but it force Rocketfellas to fight at every single dragon. I mean, they'll most likely win every single fight anyways.
yeah,
So I don't really expect anything like weird to happen unless, you know, they try to go for highlight plays, which you ideally shouldn't do when you're this far ahead. You don't want to give up your lead. You definitely don't want to give up like those individual advantages. And this Nocturne sitting on a 1,000 goal shutdown.
So once again, just the wolves being taken away from this buy. Zeri eating over the wall. The GP ultimate does come down. It seems like it might have been a bit of miscommunication there, as a fight was probably like on the table there, but they just didn't decide to go for it.
Yeah, they do see Galio on the bot wave there, and he does not have TP, so they could have taken the potential 3v5 if they assume Zeri is there. I just don't think they want to completely risk the game. This Nocturne does a lot of damage. So at best, you trade 1-for-1, which is good. He has a 1k bounty, but yeah, they just end up going for the safe play and just backing off.
Can we actually take over to the gold for a second? I want to see how much gold that Nocturne has at the moment. I'm assuming he's building an Eclipse next. God, Edge of Night. There we go.
Yes. Yeah.
I just could not just think of items right now, but if you could just go ahead and hit that X button on your keyboard for a second so we can see.
Yeah, if you
no, you're not allowed.
Assuming
Nocturne ultimate incoming first before we look at gold.
So much damage.
That is the deceased GP.
Yeah, and the thing is when he does,
Varus, quite possibly Zeri over the wall as well as her ultimate doesn't use the cleanse but uses the flash instead, and that should be enough to take him out, and it is.
Okay. Two items on Zeri. That'll do it. I mean, the quick blade's done. I mean, at this point, you're just kind of getting more gold in yourself and waiting for this next dragon to come up. They didn't really do much with their Baron now that I'm thinking about it. Oh no,
yeah.
Yeah, not
they should be able to take this even if it is a 2v3.
Over the wall, but I doubt she's going for it, but she does queue over the wall. Lissandra is coming out Link as well. So nice sidestep coming out from the Nocturne. Flash root coming out from both of them, and there goes a Lissandra, unable to even use the ultimate before she gets blown up, and Cassio with free reign to do whatever the heck she wants. Flash forward coming out from Nocturne. Does bait the GP ultimate, but yeah, as you mentioned, no mana available to him. They don't continue the push, and all the while in the mid lane, the second tower drops.
Yeah, really good petrifying gaze from Aphelios there, just completely turning that fight, because it was looking a bit dicey there for them, but can't kill anyone when you're stunned, and this Nocturne damage is only getting worse for them. And yeah, the only way he can really die at this point is through a chain CC, and if he does, when he does get that Edge of Night completion, it's even harder to do that. And there it is, yeah.
Yeah, there it is. My man's is not going to be blown up anytime soon. I mean, he doesn't even really have to start with his shield. He can just let that go down, then use the shield for the spell shield, and he's just not going to get CC'd, at least for about 5 to 10 seconds. Man, I'm actually like really impressed with how this Nocturne pick has come out, because we were meeting it a little bit when he was 0-2 and now he's 9-3, so goes to show what we know, huh?
Hey, I mean, kudos for proving us wrong. I mean, I'd love to see a Nocturne get fed in these games. It's really fun to watch. And yeah, he is a full 2 items up on this Vi, and this Cassio's an item and a half up. It is a Magi's, but an item and a half up on this GP. Zeri's was an item up. Varus just backed for the Serpent's Fang. That's an interesting buy. Makes sense. They have a decent amount of shielding with a lot of shielding with this Yuumi, so the Serpent's Fang is a good buy here if you want to kill this Zeri. But yeah, there's just so many priority targets on the side of Rocketfellas.
I don't know what to say. I mean, the game has just kind of taken like a complete different direction than where we thought it would go. It started out good for Witch Doctors at first, and then that 4v3 up in the top lane, I believe that was, going heavily in favor of Rocketfellas, just shifted the whole momentum of the game, and now look where we are. Cassiopeia has a bounty, 700 bounty on the Nocturne, 250 on the Galio, who's also full AP. I say more bruiser-ish AP, but this dragon should go over. I don't think they will try to contest for this. If they do, you are maniacs, and I respect it, and it's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah, the only really play they have there is flipping for the steal. They did see Via cross towards topside before that on the mid wave, so they know it's 100% free for them. It would have been even if Vi did show up. I think they just take the fight first. But yeah, I was gonna say like they've done a really good job completely flipping this game around after that
Oh,
dicey early game that they had. They could have gone for Baron there. I wasn't expecting them to because this Galio is bot side. Casio did base, but they're just getting vision topside. But yeah, they've done a great job after the early game that they had, going down 1K in just under 15 minutes, completely flipping it around. And we might have a fight here around Baron. Could just be some poke trying to get some vision.
Yeah, GP ultimate comes
He
out.
wants it.
Premise to no use, but Nocturne going in by himself uses the Nocturne ultimates to no avail. I guess ult for ult, but they do have quite a bit of pressure onto this Baron. They do start it up.
I mean, doesn't
Yeah,
really
they can
matter.
100% go for the turn here. They don't even have to finish it, and if they don't contest it, they can. But as soon as they show up, they can just go for the fight here.
This is melting, though.
GP
Yeah,
sizing up
their
the
take is
barrels.
so fast.
Unable to get them.
Oh, the
Nice ground
ground.
coming up from CS Aphelios, and the Petrifying Gaze locks him down. The Baron gets secured pretty easily, and they are able to pick him off.
Wow.
Quite a nice setup.
Yeah, really good miasma too from CS. I mean,
Yeah.
that just prevented Vi from being able to get in there to even go for the steal. So even if they kind of encroached onto them, they knew it was fine because of that. Completely negates the Q and just boom, free Baron over, and quote unquote free Baron over to the side of Rocketfellas. So good for them. They're in a commanding position. Looks like about 10,500 gold at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do with this Baron now. I mean, there's 2 tier 3s left. I mean, this should theoretically crack open the base.
Yeah, depending on what they go for, they can 1-3-1 with the lead that they have, but the safer play is just going 4-1, sending this Casio top to get that top tier 2, and sending everyone else mid to just completely pressure this mid inhibitor. We'll see if that is what they go for. Yeah, it looks like it.
Nautilus.
Nautilus
Might get picked off here, yep.
Yeah, does get hit by the lightning crash and the taunt. He does flash over the wall, is able to hook, but Zeri is just easy to follow him. Still has her E available to her, and that is dead Nautilus as they continue to push down the mid lane. Vi over the wall, might look for an engage, but doesn't get spotted out.
Yeah, there was the potential for the chain CC there,
Oh.
but we might have a 1v1 in top lane. Shouldn't.
Oh, the tower falls. GP ultimate comes over the wall. Petrifying Gaze unable to connect. The Zonius comes out. The Nocturne ultimate trying to get somewhere in the mid lane. They are able to pick up the kill onto Varus here. All the while, Casio does drop in the top lane in the 2v1.
That's a game, though.
Yeah, but the mid lane towers have got no one to protect them. That's 4 members dead as opposed to 1 on the side of the Rocketfellas as the Baron minions are pushing in. And this very well might be the game here. Lysandra goes in for one last stand. She gets blown up just as quickly as she comes in. That's going to be an ace. The last tower dropping and soon to be the Nexus as game 1 goes over to the Rocketfellas.
Yeah, huge Nocturne game from Nerf Victini there. And also huge Casio game from CS Aphelios. Really exciting, actually.
Wow. I mean, my man
Super
was
spicy.
he was cooking. That's the best way
Yeah.
I can say it. My dude was cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, overall thoughts for me is at first it started out really good for Witch Doctor. Then Rocketfellas got that really good fight in the top lane. I think that was about 10-ish minutes in. I can't
roughly.
think of my head. And with that swinging goal that kind of assisted in helping them, get ahead, keep that lead, keep those advantages. And Nocturne never gave up the pressure. Every time he had a good ult on someone, he took it. And the one that was before Baron, the second Baron we went on his own, I was like, okay, kind of sus. But after that, nope. Just every single time was just getting a kill somewhere on the map and deleting the Varus whenever we saw him.
Yeah, he did a great job building on the pressure and the lead he got. So, and also top lane just got a bunch of a huge solo lead, so he could play towards mid and bot and kind of shut down that Varus that got that lead early, which was really the only way that they had that Witch Doctor had a way into this game after that swing in gold. So really good job by them.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely interesting to say the least. I mean, we walked into this game seeing that's like, okay, the Witch Doctors have a tried and true comp that we know should work, and then we were kind of saying it was pretty much just letting to see if the Rocketfellas could cook up something with the draft that they constructed, and they certainly did that. And Now they've got the first game in this series, which is in fact the best of 5. So they've got to do that 2 more times if they want to move
Yeah.
on in this playoff. So it's got a lot to ask of them.
Yeah, we'll see if we get 5 games, 4 games, or just 3 after that game.
Indeed, indeed. Okay, well, with that, we're going to take a quick break. Then when we get back, it will be game 2 between Rocketfellas and Witch Doctors. Stay tuned.